the day in which the Prophet ﷺ died. He removed the curtain from his room to take a look at his companions radiallahu anhum ajma'een. Yani a farewell look. Nadrat al-wada'. And what a farewell look it was. In this event that we're going to talk about briefly tonight, yani the death of the Prophet ﷺ, he says in this great event there are many things to consider. Many things to consider. And there are a number of lessons, durus, that it is befitting of us that we stop upon them and reflect upon them. Which event? The death of the Prophet ﷺ. And from the greatest of those things that we should consider and think about, the examples, the lessons that are in this event, is that which is related to the affair of the salah and the clarification of the status or the position of the salah in Islam. In this event, there is a great example and a lesson and something to reflect upon. It is a profound lesson and an example that should have an effect, a tremendous effect that will be derived from this great event and this weighty calamity, the death of the Prophet ﷺ. The last prayer that the Prophet ﷺ prayed with the believers in Jama'ah, the last prayer that he prayed with believers in his life, he said it was the Dhuhr Salat, and it was Yawm Khamis, on a Thursday. This is history. The last prayer that he prayed in Jama'ah with the believers was Salatul Dhuhr on a Yawm Khamis. His sickness, his ailment became more severe after that prayer, Dhuhr prayer on Yawm Khamis. So he remained for 3 days. He was unable to come out for the prayer due to the severity of the sickness. And those 3 days were Yawmul Jumu'ah, Yawmul Sabt, and Yawmul Ahad. Jumu'ah, Saturday and Sunday. He couldn't come out for the salah. The last time he came out was on Yawm Khamis, Dhuhr. And 3 days came, he didn't come out at all. Yawmul Jumu'ah, Yawmul Sabt, Yawmul Ahad. At this time, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was taking his place, leading the people in prayer as the Imam of the Muslims in the Salat. Radiallahu anhu. So in the Fajr prayer on Yawm al-Ithnain, the 4th day, Yawm al-Ithnain, in the Fajr prayer, the day in which the Prophet ﷺ died, he removed the curtain from his room to take a look at his companions, radiallahu anhum ajma'een. A farewell look. Nadrat al-wada'. And what a farewell look it was. The hadith is reported by Al-Bukhari and Muslim in their 2 Sahihs from Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu. Indeed it was Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu who was leading the people in prayer during the time of the sickness of the Prophet ﷺ, the sickness from which he died, until it was Yawm al-Ithnain, Yawm al-Ithnain. And the people were lined up in the Salat. And the Prophet ﷺ, he pulled back the curtain from his room, and he was, Anas radiallahu anhu says, he was looking at us, ينظر إلينا. And he was standing, and it was as though his face, was waraqatu mushaf, something radiant, bright, beautiful. Then the Prophet ﷺ smiled, and he laughed. And Anas radiallahu anhu said that we were about almost at the point of being put to trial. They were in Salat, and they were almost at the point of being put to trial. To leave the Salat due to the happiness that they experienced at seeing the Prophet ﷺ. So Abu Bakr began to retreat, to go backwards, to get into the line with the people in the first line, thinking that the Prophet ﷺ was coming out to the Salat, as he did on Yawm Khamis, in Salatul Dhuhr. Instead, the Prophet ﷺ signaled for them to complete your Salat. And then he let down the curtain, and he died in that day. So let us reflect. Let those reflect who would reflect. Those who would consider. This is our Prophet ﷺ. He is looking at his ummah in the masjid. That look of farewell. The look is the look of joy, of happiness for him, alayhi salatu wassalam. For indeed the salat, it was the joy, it was the qurrata aynihi, yani it was the coolness of his eyes, the thing that pleased him more than anything else, alayhi salatu wassalam. And Allah had given him that pleasure, the pleasure of his eyes, yani to see the Muslims in the morning of the day of his passing, to see his ummah mujtami'een fil masjid ala hadha salat, to see his ummah gathered together in the masjid to perform the salat. So he smiled and he laughed, alayhi salatu salam. And this smile, it was the smile of joy and happiness. And this laugh was the laugh of intimacy or friendship and delight and happiness at his seeing his ummah gathered together in the masjid for the salat. And when he let down the curtain, alayhi salatu wasalam, yani he was satisfied, he was happy, he was delighted with the sight that he had seen. A joyful, delightful sight, a pleasant, pleasing image of his ummah, the ummah of Islam. كان آخر كلام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الصلاة الصلاة اتقوا الله فيما ملكت أيمانكم. الصلاة اتقوا الله فيما ملكت أيمانكم. The prayer, observe taqwa of Allah in that which your right hands possess. The last, كان آخر كلام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الصلاة. For indeed the salat, it was the joy, it was the qurrata aynihi, yani it was the coolness of his eyes, the thing that pleased him more than anything else. Alayhi salatu wassalam.